And good morning, everyone. Hopefully the sound and the picture are okay. Today is the 13th of November, 2018. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. This is one of those days where I'm not sure what to say, I'm not sure where to go, and I'm not sure how to get there. So this might ramble on a bit. Let me say up front that my video, I believe it was on Sunday, talking about Trump setting a trap for the Democrats who are dealing in this election nonsense. I didn't mean Democrats as a whole or, massive indictments or anything like that. I was talking about those who are engaging in this election and voter fraud. I saw some evidence that he was going to move forward on that. Some things happened while he was over in Europe, and I thought when he came back, and I still think that he's going to act on that, but I'm going to kind of back off. I'm going to disappoint some people here. I'm going to back off a little bit on that anything like that is imminent. For one thing, I looked at his executive order from September 12th, I believe is the day. Let me double check here and see if I'm right about that. And I'm pretty sure I am. And it's about, I'll just go with it, the foreign election situation, or the foreign interference in our elections. And, it was a national emergency executive order, along with some of the other things he's done, like the seizure of assets from those who try to steal our resources and all that. And I see all these preparations for moving forward, okay? But still no action. Now, in this executive order, it's about foreign interference in the election. Now, and I'm going to read some of it today. We're going to get there. But it talks about those who do it on behalf of foreign governments, not in the run-of-the-mill doing it for themselves, like corporations, or in Soros's case, his organization, his Open Society organization, etc. There's some real problems that I now see. Some people were saying, well, it went too far, and others said it didn't go far enough. I'm going to say it doesn't go far enough. So I guess what I'm saying here is I look back at that executive order, and I don't see a clear-cut case of going after people like Snipes now. Now, there are other laws that deal with that, but there's a reticence to apply them in this horrible situation that's happened across the country, principally in Florida, California, and Arizona. Arizona's kind of up for grabs as far as what happened there. I saw that Dinesh D'Souza said it's very likely that Republicans did go to Sinema, I think that's how you say her name, due to something that has to do with the title of my video today, which I'm going to talk about also. That's why I say I don't even know where to go here. Let me start out like this. Of course, the title of this live stream is In Politics and War, Moderation is Defeat and Death. This is not a call to violence. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put that up right now. If you look in the description box, this is what I say. And I'm going to just say it out loud here. This is not a call to violence, but a warning that complacency and even attempting to remain moderate by constitutional liberty supporters is a recipe for defeat. We must not concern ourselves with the fear of hurting someone's feelings or condoning their destructive behavior. We must stand boldly and speak loudly and realize that survival is indeed at issue. Okay, let me say that up front. And you'll see where that applies in a few minutes. I had my Republican insider call me last night. He's kind of amazing, actually. It's almost like he can sense my frustration and my anxiety. And he'll call up right at the time when I'm thinking, there's no way out of this. What are we going to do? I told you I was just going to have to be brutally blunt today. Let me point something out. When I first went to college, My goal was to become a medical doctor. Really, honestly, it was. And I did very well initially. I did very well. My idea was, to help people, get them back to health. Now, whether I would have gotten into natural herbal remedies and healing and all that is a question. I probably would have been one of those MDs who went that way as well. But regardless, the point was, I had a sense of being able to diagnose illness pretty good, even at that stage. And I still have that gift today to some extent. And we often hear the statement, well, in order to treat an illness, the doctor first has to know that what it is. They have to know what the illness is before they can treat it. And you hear that all the time, and it's very true. But there's another part of this equation that is often left out. And this is where we are today. Once the patient is told what they have to want to get well. They have to want to take the steps. Sometimes very difficult steps. And I'm definitely in a place where I can talk about this. Very difficult steps. Sometimes questionable steps. Because you don't know exactly where it's going to end up, but you have to be willing to take those steps and fight the disease. Okay? You have to be willing to stand up and say, I'm going to do something about this. I'm afraid, from what I've seen in this last election, now, it's very common for the midterm elections to go very similar to the way this one went, where the other party, takes over the House and that kind of thing. Actually, Trump did very well in holding on to a lot of governorships and those types of things. I'm not real satisfied with what's happened in the Senate. I'm very disappointed in the House because I realize the danger we're in from the leftist Marxists who are in control, and they really are in control of our government and many of our institutions. But what really bothered me was that I didn't see fire in the eyes of some of these people that we were depending upon to do the right thing. What am I talking about? Well, conservatives, constitutional supporters in general. We had a situation developed that was a psychological operation that most of you know about by now. Some agree that it is, some say it isn't, whatever. But basically what it did is it shut down this fire in the belly, this fire in the heart to go out and do something, that it was all going to be taken care of. And conservatives love to hear that because by our nature, we don't plan to do evil. And when I say conservatives, that's kind of a difficult term, but I don't know how else to put it right now for everybody to understand. The point is, we just want to live our life. We want to go and we want to, sit on the beach, be with our family, make enough money if we do, make good money, or even if we don't, to just enjoy life, to enjoy what the world, the earth has to give us and our families and our friends, etc. We don't sit around thinking about how to do evil all day. We don't understand that the opposite side of that spectrum, our enemies, do think about how to do evil all the time, how to take control of your life, etc. We just don't get it. So when we were told that this was all being taken care of behind the scenes, we didn't have to worry about it, too many of us backed off. Oh, I have nothing to worry about. And that was the danger I talked about early on. Another danger I talked about early on, and I saw that a Twitter account brought this up by the name of The Last Refuge. I forget his blog, or her blog, I'm not sure which it is, brought up the fact that, and this was very true, that this psyop that was going on was actually going to hurt Trump, that if it was tied to Trump in any way, they could say it was a form that he was engaging in some form of obstruction of justice, etc. And I cautioned people to stop trying to put Trump with this psyop that was going on. And I made a video about that. It was last spring, I believe, maybe even in February. Somewhere in there, I talked about this, and I was very happy to see The Last Refuge bring this up, because how true is it? It's very true. Because now we see what? Dr. Corsi, and I've gone back and forth with Dr. Corsi. Sometimes I really appreciate him. Other times I want to just bang him in the head for being stupid. But overall, what we're seeing here is continued attacks on what appear to be, and I believe they are, Trump supporters. None of the people that are engaging in all these other nefarious activities, from Uranium One, etc., election fraud, etc., nothing is happening to them. I'll get back to that in a minute. Let's get back to this moderation problem. I want to quote Barry Goldwater, and most of you will know what this is. Barry Goldwater, of course, was a United States Senator. He ran for president at one point. He was defeated by Johnson, I believe it was. But he said something that's very important. Now, the idea of extremism today is somewhat different than what Goldwater meant when he said it. You know, today it's been, if you're a constitutional supporter, you're an extremist, right? That's how the PC people and the intelligence community has made it so that the definition of being a constitutionalist is now considered extremism. How terrible is that? How horrible? I mean, that's like Macron saying that nationalism is not patriotism. I mean, this is all word smithing and all that. But let me just quote to you what he said. Quote, "I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And let me remind you that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue." What have I been saying? Trump must act. Moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. You have to be wise. You have to know what your enemies are. You want to attack from a position of strength, not weakness. But we still have a problem here, and that's why I say I feel bad that I was so confident on Sunday that I thought things were going to happen. Then I'm starting to see some of this other undercurrent, particularly with Mueller announcing more indictments on the Russia investigation. This is not a good sign. All these indictments that everybody keeps thinking that they're going to see against the leftist Marxists are not happening, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. And I'm not certain that they ever will. Moderation. Kindness is one thing. Patience is something else. But moderation is like being lukewarm. You know, there's a scripture that says, God's talking, he says, "I would that you would be either hot or cold, but because you are lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth." That's a verbal description of the bell curve. Right? You have most of the people that are complacent in the middle, and you have the activists on either side, both for the good and the evil. That's really what that is. And basically it's saying, well, at least I wish you would make a choice, so then I know where you stand and I can deal with you accordingly, right? Plus it's good for you, for your learning and your integrity and your character and your personality and all that. But my Republican friend calls me up last night. He says, "Roy, you know, don't despair. This is we kind of expected it to go this way. What we didn't expect is some of these other things that are happening that are going after Trump supporters again, and the complete and utter refusal to do anything about the election fraud by Governor Rick Scott's trying to do something in Florida, but they've already given him an injunction to stop him there in one aspect of it, because the entire system is rigged against trying to restore the constitutional republic. But at any rate, so he called me up last night. He had watched the Mark Levin show. So those of you who saw the Mark Levin show will know something of what I'm talking about here. Levin was talking about, particularly the part that I want to speak about, is the Arizona Senate race between Sinema, I hope I'm saying her name right, not because I have any respect for her, but just, you know, it's not kind not to call somebody by their correct name, but the race between her and McSally. And what Mark Levin said was this, that he and his staff had reached out to McSally and several other Republican, I'm not even going to say they're constitutional republic supporters, because there's some things about McSally that really bothered me. But let's just stay with the Republicans now. He reached out, and his staff reached out to these different Republicans that were running for these different seats. And they denied him that. In other words, they said no. They refused to come on his show. They came up with other excuses or whatever. Maybe they were thinking, well, he doesn't have enough coverage or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that you see Trump out there busting his ass, going all over the country, every day, sometimes doing two of these rallies a day. And McSally didn't have enough presence of mind to take advantage of an offer to go on Mark Levin. Do you know what the reason was they gave? What McSally's staff and obviously her, what their reason was? Did you see Mark Levin? I'll tell you what they said. And it has to do with the title of my video. Not only were they so sure that it wouldn't give them the coverage they need, which is absurd. Okay, that's totally absurd. But this is what they said. We want to appeal to the moderates. What? The moderates are those who are complacent. They don't care. They don't care. And there's nothing you're going to do in the center of that bell curve. You'll win a few over. But instead of standing strong on the principles, they decided to lower their principles and appeal to those who are complacent, lazy, undecided, etc. Now, I understand the political move to try to get those who are undecided to go your way. But appealing to their moderate characteristics is not the way to go. Let me read Barry Goldwater again. I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And let me remind you that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. And the Republicans have betrayed us, the conservatives, the constitutional republic supporters, by not abiding by by those two principles. Even President Trump. Now, again, I'm going to read the presidential executive order here, a portion of it, in just a few minutes. They have 45 days after the election. The people that are supposed to look at this election fraud, they have 45 days after the election is completed. In other words, 45 days from November 6th to give their recommendations to President Trump on what to do about the fraud. Now, the way it's worded, and you'll see this in a minute, I would suggest you go read it in its entirety. It does look like it's just about foreign interference, but it can snag people like Soros under certain circumstances. Certainly Clinton, etc. Are they building a case? I hope so. But maybe I was a little too energetic, too positive on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day I did that one, where I said Trump's got set a trap with this thing with Sessions. And then all the people in this PSYOP club, said, oh, you're supporting us now. You're saying exactly what the PSYOP says. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Matter of fact, extremely opposite to that. So the problem here is that McSally didn't want to win, which really troubled me because, and again, you know how I feel about women in the military, much less in combat, and I'm not going to go there in a big argument on that today. Frankly, I find it disgusting and despicable, and it shows where our values have degenerated. But she was supposed to have learned that the basic idea that you have to expect things to go to hell. It's what you do next that matters. And she didn't take that seriously. She didn't go out there to win. She went out there to appeal to those who are moderates. In other words, they're not, this whole politically correct idea of being a right-winger is extremism, right? They've bunched us all in there. If we support the Constitution, what the country is supposed to stand for, we're considered extremists by the politically correct definitions. She didn't want to attack that. She's in Arizona, for crying out loud. The Second Amendment state. We're being invaded by people who do not hold our values of constitutionally protected rights and liberties of the individual. God-given rights and liberties protected by the Constitution. We're being invaded by people who don't believe that. They only believe in getting something for nothing. Not all of them, but this army that's coming to invade us. It has been for some time. And its the purpose is economic destruction and destruction of our core values. That's what it is. You destroy the core values, and sometimes your core values are all screwed up. But the core values that's spoken of in the Constitution of the United States should ring true to people with common sense. It's not perfect, but it should ring true for common sense. But they've had 3 to 4 decades now in our educational institutions and etc. to change that. That's a whole nother story. See what I said? I was going to weave around here way too much. My point is, of course, that McSally chose to try to influence the moderates. And because that was her message, those who really wanted her to get out there and fight turned her off. They said, she's not going to fight for us. It won't do any good to go out there and vote for her because she's not going to do anything. She's going to try to placate everyone like most politicians try to play. We can't do that anymore. If a politician wants to placate the mass, okay, we don't need him. We need him to stand up for principle and be loud and bold about it. And if the people reject that, at least we know where we stand and where they stand. She had some starry-eyed idea that she was going to get into the Senate and then be able to make changes. She's either stupid or she's complicit. I'm sorry, but I just got to call it the way I see it. My Republican insider last night, he says, you know what's really bothering me, Roy, is where are all the blue dog Democrats? Do you know what that means? That means the Democrats who would have some common sense and they'll vote for things like, constitutional issues, protecting the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, fiscal responsibility. Although they think the state can handle. But the point is blue dog Democrats don't exist anymore. Almost everything in the Democratic Party, almost everything is progressive, leftist, Marxist. Almost everything. Now there are individuals that are not. I know some personally, but by and large, that's what we have, especially in the leadership. And I said that we cannot believe that these people are reachable. There are 2 ways that our country and the world are going right now. Those who believe in the perfect law of liberty, however you want to define it, Constitution protected, God-given rights, whatever, and those who want to stop that and go to tyranny and autocracy, etc. And there's an unbridgeable gulf there, and it's getting wider by the day, and it's going to become more and more dangerous. And if you try to placate to the mass and not tell them what the score is, this is what's going to happen, is what happened in Arizona. Now, Dinesh D'Souza says, of course, like I said earlier, that it's a possibility that Republicans didn't vote for McSally because they saw her as being wishy-washy or that she wouldn't make a difference. And I don't doubt that. Okay, I don't doubt that. But there was more at stake here than that, and there's more at work here than that. So basically, my Republican insider says the blue dog Democrats, if they exist, they've been silenced. They've been shamed into silence. There we are again, not being bold. Okay, let's talk about what's happened with the indictments coming from Mueller. We were told that Mueller was done, that he's writing up his final report, and then lo and behold, after the election, after Sessions quits, and gets fired, the deep state goes nuts, and all the people that they were trying to get originally, they're starting to go after again now. Where's Trump? Where is he out there to protect his base? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, the executive order, again, gives him 45 days. But the blatant crimes that are being committed over there, and Corsi, I don't know what he did. I defended Dr. Corsi last winter only because I felt like he was being attacked wrongly by this PSYOP group, okay? They may have been right in some regards about who he was and what, but they accepted him later, quite substantially after I went to protect him that first time. Then they brought him in, and he became even more involved with them. But regardless, the point is that, as Last Refuge stated, and as I stated last winter, there's a strong possibility, and Isaac Green talked about this on his YouTube channel yesterday on a live stream. If you saw that, you should go see it. He did a very good job on succinctly, unlike me, describing the problems that are involved. And it talks about Corsi, what's going on there. And basically, we don't know exactly, of course, what the indictment's going to say, but we have some suspicions that it's going to involve this PSYOP, his association and even leadership in this PSYOP. You all know what I'm talking about. Tie it in more to InfoWars, to Alex Jones, and WikiLeaks, and Roger Stone, et cetera, et cetera. What that will do, if they do that, by innuendo, because I don't believe there is a connection. I know there's no connection between this PSYOP and Trump. The connection, like the Russian collusion, is between Hillary Clinton and Obama and the PSYOP. But they're going to try to tie Trump into it, like I warned about and like Last Refuge has warned about. And if they are successful in doing that to any degree, and I don't know about Corsi, he was CIA. And he was very friendly with the Mossad, so he's acting like an injured, frail old man. I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't trust Mueller. But where is this really going? Well, we're going to find out, I hope, in the next few days. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. My point there is, though, is that this entire thing has caused complacency in the conservative movement, division, believing that you can satisfy the moderates, which has never been the case, and you certainly can't, you can never figure that you're going to meet eye to eye with the leftist Marxists. That's just not going to happen. It will not happen. So all I can say is we're going to have to watch what's going on here with Corsi. And in a timely manner, someone, somewhere, has to go after the election fraud that has occurred. It's blatant. I mean, a 2-year-old can see it. And yet, for some reason or other, we believe that they're untouchable. Republicans never take the gloves off and fight for their base. They never, ever do. I think the last one who did was probably Goldwater. Right? You could probably make an argument for Reagan, but Goldwater was really the last one, I think. And I hate to say it by party lines. It should be about supporting our constitutional republic, not these ideologies that, of course, are a false left-right paradigm to make you think that you can make a change when you can't. The Trump stands for the real change, and he's the symbol of the large portion of America that wants this constitutional republic to thrive. But if you remain silent, if you try to deal with the moderates on their level, you're going to lose. You have to be bold, and you have to be insistent, and you have to get out there, and you have to really, really work. So that's where we are. So I wanted to kind of call us back from our euphoria from the last couple of days. Well, actually, there's been no euphoria since this whole thing happened with the House. And we see what's happening in Florida. And Arizona. Arizona's probably... anyway. Okay, what I want to do is I want to go to the executive order real quick. So you can find it on whitehouse.gov, and it's called the Executive Order on Imposing Certain Sanctions in the Event of Foreign Interference in a United States Election. foreign interference. We have laws in the books that are supposed to be enforced when you have things going on like they are in Florida. And the feds can get involved. But by the way, remember, Obama signed that order saying the DHS was going to run the elections. Now, maybe wisely, Trump didn't repeal that, didn't take it away, didn't negate it. And maybe that's why he's getting rid, and we think he's getting rid of the current DHS secretary that he brought in. Why he brought her in, I don't know. This Kirsten, how do you ever say her name? Nielsen, whatever. Didn't trust her from the start, like a lot of his appointments. Is it because she's not going to go after these people? Because the DHS was put in charge of this, making sure the elections are run right? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. All I know is that people aren't getting hauled off in handcuffs. Have they got 45 days? Yeah. That might be too little too late. I keep saying that, We keep losing the initiative. Okay, so this executive order was published. It was issued. And it's listed under foreign policy. Again, it's called Executive Order on Imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election. Issued September 12, 2018. Okay, and basically when you read through this, it talks about foreign accessing of our elections, giving the same old crap about, disinformation, etc. Who's going to determine if it's disinformation? The Democrats say that it's disinformation for us to bring up dirt on Hillary Clinton. But it's not disinformation for them to bring up dirt on President Trump. So, just by its very nature, I've got some problems with it. But basically he says this, and this is the part I wanted to stress. Okay, first of all, it's foreign interference. Now, there can be people in our government, in our country, our own citizens who deal with foreign governments. But can Soros be put in that category? I don't know. Because it's a corporation, it's an organization outside of government. Is he actually colluding, conspiring, let's use that term, which is the criminal part, with another foreign government, Soros, to do this? I don't think you can prove that. He's doing it on his own. Where he's giving the money is to the leftist Marxists in our own country. The clear and present danger is the attack on the constitutional republic, on the Constitution itself. And nobody seems to get that. So this is the part I wanted to read. Section 1, subparagraph A, parentheses A. Not later than, so it can happen earlier, not later than 45 days after the conclusion of a United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent or on behalf of a foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering in that election. The assessment shall identify to the maximum extent ascertainable the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it. The persons involved in the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security. Within 45 days of receiving the assessment, now we're out 90 days, and information described in Section 1A of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate agency and as appropriate state and local officials, shall deliver to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, a report evaluating respect to the United States election that is subject of the assessment described in Section 1A, the extent of the foreign interference, if any foreign interference involved targeting infrastructure. Okay, I'm not going to keep reading. You see what I'm saying? It's kicking the damn can down the road. If you or I spit on the sidewalk in some of these places, they haul us off to jail and we have to pay a bail. If we're lucky. We're talking 90 days down the road. That's into 2019, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand that? Let me read Barry Goldwater again, okay? The second part. And let me remind you that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. It's accommodation. How is it that Robert Mueller can do all of this damage to people's lives and we can't even go after the criminals in the leftist Marxist areas of our country, government, etc.? Do you see where I'm going with this? I've said for a long time that that President Trump is losing the initiative because he will not act. Isaac Green yesterday in his live stream said President Trump has to act. He's a 21 or 22-year-old young man who's smart as a whip, and he understands this. What the hell is going on in the White House? You know, again, I've quoted this scripture before. It says, the Lord's going to wait until the cup of their iniquity is full, and then his anger will be unleashed. Well, I'm not calling Trump God, and maybe he's just trying to use this type of approach. And I realize the danger he's in. There are some things going on. Now, he's saying that it was weather, that the helicopter didn't go to this cemetery in France. I'm not sure that's true. That's a good cover story. We know that they would like to take him out, the deep state. I don't believe he's part of them. I still don't. But I do believe that we're trying, even Trump to some extent, is trying to appeal to the moderates, and that is a mistake. As I said, in politics and war, moderation is defeat and death. And we keep making this mistake. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to bring that up today. I think Mark Levin hit the nail on the head. McSally lost because she didn't really want to win. She wasn't willing to do what was required to win. And having been former military, frankly, I don't understand that at all. Maybe because she was taking advice from supposedly political experts. Well, they're experts, all right. She failed because she was ignorant and stupid and maybe complicit. Let's take a short break, okay? And then I'll go to chat. I kind of like doing this, all right? No, you're not going to see Carol today. This is a little longer. This is a 5-minute little clip. I told you I'd tell you a little bit about Japan. It's one of the assignments I had. It's not extensive. I don't go out in the countryside with these for a lot of reasons. But I thought you might find, if you've never been to Japan, if you've never had the inclination to look online and see what it's like there, I'm giving you that opportunity. So let's take about 5 minutes and watch this little clip on Japan. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I'm at Narita Airport in Tokyo, Japan. Downtown Tokyo. Base, actually air base. Can't see much from my window. This is the building that houses the two major commands here. The major one is actually at the small side of the building. It's headquarters, United States Army or United States Forces Japan. That's actually the organization I belong to. over here, if you look over on this side, this is the 5th Air Force. I thought I would take a quick picture of this with me in it, just so that you know that I'm really here. As I said, this is the headquarters for the United States Forces Japan. There it is. As I said, bicycles and scooters are a big thing here. There are whole parking lots of these things, but a few of them are parked along here, as you can see. Well, it's time to do the old arm trick here. Walking up a road, I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. I'm really kind of lost here, but I'm just going to kind of walk around and see where we are. Place to come and relax, I guess.
Right here. Carl, we're gonna go.
That is the sidewalk. Not much more to it than that. Little tiny streets. Again, that's why you need those little tiny cars that are right there. I'm really sweating profusely, so I have to pardon my appearance here. Very humid, hot. I'm going to stand here in this picture. Here's something of interest. You can see that. This is kind of interesting. It's very nice. I don't know if it's a house. I guess it is. With some very interesting architecture. But there apparently is something else going on here. Maybe it's a little gathering place for worshipers or something. You can see these really nice gardens they have, and I suspect they probably sell this on the market, not just for their own use. They have to grow food everywhere they can. I decided to eat in this little family restaurant in Fusa. It's called Gusto or Gusto. I don't know, it doesn't sound very Japanese to me. It might be, but it's really interesting trying to communicate when you don't know the language very well. But it's kind of fun in the gardens. Oh, my hair is messed up. They have these little call buttons that you push. It brings the waitress. And then you order your food. This is what the menus look like. They have a lunch menu there, kind of a real quick thing that you can off of. Then they have these bigger ones. They try to put some of it in English, but the major part of it is not in English. So you've got to kind of figure it out for yourself.
Watching that again, it reminds me, I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to take pictures of it. And actually, I had pictures of it, still pictures, not video. But one of the real problems in Japan is off the Air Force Base, off the military installations, if you need to go to the restroom, they're really tiny. Even guys my size have a hard time fitting in to their restrooms. They're I can't even describe how tiny they are. They might be maybe 30 inches wide, 36 at the most. I don't even think they're that wide, and probably maybe only 4 feet. Anyway, they're really tiny. But I didn't show you that. But just so you know, if you go there, if you're a big guy, you're going to have a problem. Okay, all right. I forgot about that. I need to say it. And one other thing before we go to chat. And maybe I said this earlier, but I just want to say it again. I'm very disturbed about Sessions. I've never trusted him. I said he was a plant by the Bushes and the Clintons right off the bat in Trump's campaign. Well, at first I didn't know if that were true, but there were some questions I had about him, and then, of course, he proved that was the case. I really thought he would be a firebrand, too, and he wasn't. But I lost that hope very early on, especially at the recusal. And then I started looking into him and what he was really about and his ties, and then I realized that Trump was set up with him. But at any rate, one of the things that my Republican insider said was that, and this is concerning, Sessions and Cohen, and I've seen this in other places as well, Sessions and Cohen apparently arrived at Mueller's office at the same time, sometime late last week. That's a bad sign. Was Sessions the mole, one of the moles in Trump's administration from the start? Certainly could be, knowing what we know about him. How bad is this? Well, my Republican insider said, and I don't really see it, but I've had to submit it to his analysis more than once. He's saying that if Sessions actually does testify against Trump, or let's put it this way, in any way, shape, or form substantiates or tries to substantiate Cohen's accusations, that this will not bode well for the Democrats in next year or in the election for 2020. I don't know how he exactly arrived there, but I wanted to tell you that. He thinks that if Sessions proves that all along he was a traitor to Trump, that he was not there to defend the executive, that he was not there to assist Trump in MAGA, that will turn against him, that will wake up all of the conservatives, all the Constitutional Republic supporters, the complacent Trump reporters, etc. That will wake them up. I hope he's right. If in fact Sessions does turn on Trump and shows himself to that extent. How likely is that? I think at this point it's very likely that that's exactly what Sessions is up to. I think that's why would he run to Mueller's office right afterwards? Yeah. So much for trust Sessions. Okay, let's go to chat. And let's see what you got here. I'm going to run back to the beginning. How long have we been going? Only about 50 minutes. That's pretty good. So I'm going to go all, whoops. Go all the way back to the beginning here if I can do this without messing it up. Okay. No apologies, Denise J. says. Thank you. You're very kind. Yeah. The thing on illegal immigration, too, John Teapart, Trump could have and should have used ICE to stop illegal aliens from voting. Exactly. How is it that the states can employ these violations of federal law in allowing people to vote, like felons, like illegal aliens, I'll just say it, and nothing happens? See, that's what I mean. Are the leftist Marxists in so much power that Trump can't even go after him for obvious violations of law? This is really getting pathetic. I'm sorry, but it is. Oh, geoengineering, Florida Blue. Yes, I know. That's another problem, which is probably why a lot of people are complacent. They've got so much damn lithium and fluoride in their bodies and other drugs that they just can't think straight. You know, the whole thing with what was that stuff called that Alex Jonesy was going, gay frogs and all that? Well, it really is true. There is something, and I forget what the chemical is, but it really is causing some problems in our sexual functions. Absolutely, there definitely are. Okay. Oh, now I like this. Buzzacino. A single drop of water never sees the ripples it creates, but instead has already become part of the whole and the effect. Everything is connected. Well, I agree. But by the same token, one drop of polluted water isn't a big deal. But when the whole pond starts to get polluted, then you got a problem. Tinfoil hat, who always has something interesting to say. Blue dogs were replaced by purple penguin Democrats. Yeah, I think it's even worse than that, but I think you got the idea. All right. And again, I can't read all these. I want to try to select the ones that are about the information we covered today. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay, right. KB, and this is probably bearing upon it in some respect. McSally doesn't care. She still has a lifetime pension. She was a plant. Women, lots of love. Lots of laughs, rather. Men built Western civilization. Women are tearing it down. See how that works out for you girls. I'm not going to disagree with you, KB. I'm not saying there aren't good women out there. You know, I did that. I was going to do that series on good women and bad women and what's happened here. The masculine part of the civilization is put down, especially if it's white masculinity. Yes, there are some problems, and we just keep going down that trail. So I don't disagree with what you said there. Okay. Yeah, and this is true too. Billy Brew, they voted, but more people who were tired of the old white man politics she spewed and did not expect the midterm turnout that happened. Yeah, and I agree. You know, why is it that you've got these? And it is true. The good old boy network, and most of it is white guys who are against, who are using the system for their own gain and power, and actually turning us leftist Marxists. I mean, look at the Rothschilds, look at the Bushes. Look at the Clintons. The people behind this subversion of our constitutional republic are, in fact, white. That's very true. But unfortunately, the people that see that, like you, I'm not saying you in particular are doing this, but then you side with these folks. Not you, again, but the people that, you know, they side with these old white men who want to take away their liberties. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, we fought them in the Revolutionary War. Good white guys were fighting bad white guys. You know, where's that now? Oh, no, they're all bad. Oh, really? Then how come you keep following Clintons down the same path and the Bushes and the Rothschilds and the Soroses? It doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. So there's more to it than that, but I see what you're talking about. That's Billy's Brew. Yeah, probably Clinton's Billy's Brew, right? His brother Billy. Or is that who it was? Or I'm thinking of Carter. Yeah, one of the two. Louisa Chavez. And I remember I apologized to you, Louisa, for calling you Lisa. Let's see what she says here. She usually has something good. She says, "Hi all," from Louisa. "I just found out the Kansas, Missouri Health Department, Rex Archer, is pouring bleach over food meant for the homeless. Give him a call, 816-513-6008. Please help me do this." There you go. There's something that you can do. I don't know the details. Maybe Louisa can tell us more in the chat here, but none of this surprises me. None of it surprises me. Okay. This is interesting. Bruise me not. There is an Islamist and Venezuelan terrorist connection to that school event in Broward that the sheriff was told to leave alone. That's just one thing Snipes has to protect, thus her blatant crimes. Again, I don't doubt any of this. Broward County's a problem. It has been for a long time. Look at all the things that happen there. And the FBI counterintelligence folks are right there. That's like one of their major places, if not the major place. The connections are unquestionable, undeniable. Which brings me to another point, the shooting there in California. I shouldn't really go here, but why don't I? Remember I told you I looked in and I said I don't want to get into an argument about whether there were casualties or not. It's how the event is being used to attack the Constitutional Republic and the Bill of Rights, etc. That's the important issue. However, I did see, and he always does a good job, high-impact blogs. He used to be high-impact videos, I think, or something like that. But anyway, high-impact blogs did a video expose of that showing, I guess Wolf Blitzer of CNN said this is a horrific video of the massacre inside this country western bar. And Wolf Blitzer says that, but you don't see anything. The dance floor, there's nobody there. You know, you hear what appeared to be glass breaking. You don't see really anybody. One guy with a cell phone running out and yelling and all that. And a lot of people were supposedly there at the LV massacre. And again, I'm not saying there weren't actors there. I'm just saying that at the LV thing there were casualties too. Okay. I'm not also saying I'm not saying that there weren't casualties at this country western bar, but something's amiss there. Something's really amiss, as usual. And what's really disgusting is we see local law enforcement, the sheriff, etc., talking, but we've seen how they can be manipulated by the intelligence community and the FBI, just like the sheriff of Las Vegas Police Department, Lombardo. I don't know if we can trust anybody with a badge and a gun anymore. I really don't. And it's pathetic. It's really sad. Those we could have trusted have been basically removed, mostly, it seems like. Lisa Chavez, please make him stop this. Yes, okay, I agree. Thanks, Louisa, I appreciate that. And people are already responding to her. Yeah, Snipes is bad news, Bliss, absolutely. And I do not understand why criminal charges are not filed against these people. I guess there was some misunderstanding or disagreement that she was actually a Republican. She was appointed by Jeb Bush, apparently, or had some connection there. But I've seen arguments both ways that she's a Republican and others saying, no, she's a Democrat. I don't really care. Whatever she is, she needs to be arrested. And everybody that's helped her to do this thing needs to be arrested. Rooster Cogburn, I understand your frustration, but man, you don't want to go to a second civil war. I'm afraid it's headed that way anyway. I got to tell you, the Bosnian thing, Yugoslavia, was a good example of what happens in a situation like that when you have neighbor against neighbor. It's not dividing along, political boundary lines like even states or counties. The cemetery in Sarajevo is the largest in the world. I really don't think you want to go there. Let's see. Alfonso Geiger. I'm still sub to Corsi, but only watch sometimes and only see him as opposition. I don't know what to think of Corsi. Again, I went to his defense when he was being attacked last January or February, whenever it was, and there was the same time they were attacking myself, Ann Coulter, Tracy Means, Ann Coulter of all people. Which reminds me, Ann Coulter and I have butt heads, not in reality, but in theory. Anyway, and she came on. This was incredible. She came on. Let me get rid of this. I've got to go here. Hold on just a second, because it goes along with everything I've said today. She took a lot of flack right when Trump was running, because she did all these different interviews and people asked, well, who's going to be president? She said Trump, and then they all laughed at her and they said, no, he will never be president and all that, when in fact she was absolutely right. So, but I'll tell you what. Here's an example of someone who just calls it the way it is. Okay? I'm going to anger some people here. I'm just quoting Ann Coulter, because I do realize the difficulty that Trump is under. Let me just quote her. She links to a Washington Examiner article that says Hillary Clinton will run for president again in 2020. And believe me, with what we're seeing in the Democratic Party right now, the leftist Marxists, the election fraud, voter fraud, stealing elections, etc., she's setting it up pretty good. And if Trump continues doing it the same way he has, without taking action against their criminality, he's not going to win 2020. And we are all going to lose. And then, Brewster Cogburn, you might get your wish. Let me read what Ann Coulter says in response to this Washington Examiner article saying that Hillary Clinton will run for president in 2020. Again, she's Satan's consort, I swear. Quote from Ann Coulter, quote, Trump didn't build a wall. Legal and illegal immigration is up. Anchor babies are still citizens. He apparently said he was going to do an executive order canceling that too, which she's going to address here in a minute. If you run the exact same election after 4 years of immigrants turning 18 and voting, Hillary wins. All right? Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to share anything. Ugh, it ticks me off. Sometimes I touch buttons I don't mean to butt. Then she said this. Rick Scott tweeted out a legal update that we filed emergency motions and complaints in the Broward County elections deal. Now, that injunction that he tried to get has already been turned down by the local judge, the federal judge, state judge, whatever it is. Another plant, obviously. But this is what she says. This is Ann Coulter remarking about Rick Scott's information. Quote, "They've been manufacturing Dem votes for a week now. Certify the vote tally as of November 7th. Throw out Broward County or send in U.S. Marshals and have Broward vote again." And then finally, another tweet from Ann Coulter. Quote, "Hey, Donald Trump, where's that executive order on anchor babies? Was that a pre-election stunt?" You have to be critical of your leaders, even if you like them. You have to hold their feet to the fire. As unpleasant as that is, we have to do it. And Ann Coulter, bless her heart, is not afraid to do it. How much influence does she have? I don't know. She's got a good microphone quite a bit of the time. We got to tell him to go after him. We can't allow him not to act. And everybody is saying, oh, he's got to do it. And even my Republican friend, oh, this and that. He's got to have the right environment. He's got to be careful. Hey, we're losing this, ladies and gentlemen. We're losing it. The United States is going to become the new USSR. That's the direction we're going, and if we're not already there. And yet they keep pointing at Russia, the leftist Marxists, how bad Russia is. No, we've got. This is the most evil nation in the world right now. Oh yeah, I know about the tribal killers and that, that kind of stuff in Africa and Asia and all that. But as far as an institutionalized world power, we are the most evil. Trump's trying to change it, I believe. And I realize the mountain that he is having to climb and how massive it is. But not arresting people for obvious crimes like this Snipes lady, this can't be allowed to go on. All it does is embolden them to do more crimes. Buzzacino, yeah, I believe that too. Mankind will never see an end of trouble until lovers of wisdom come to hold power, or the holders of power become lovers of wisdom. Plato, absolutely true. I don't really like Plato for other reasons, but yeah. There's some really bad stuff here I don't want to read. Not that it's something I can't say. It's just I don't feel like going there right now. Ryan W. I have to quote him because I can't disagree with what he's saying here. Trump lets a bunch of fools and family, in parentheses Democrats, in his office. He lets pissant judges override the law, open sedition at the least, but no action. I agree. I thought the U.S. Marshals would be moving a long time ago, and they haven't been. We keep hearing about these things happening. We're out of sight. Out of sight means it isn't happening, okay? If the people can't see justice being done, it's not being done. So all those people that say that he's acting behind the scenes, that's bullshit. You can't do that. That's not justice. And I'm going to read this again. Okay, Barry Goldwater. And let me remind you that moderation, or doing it out of the sight of everybody, or just not being aggressive, moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. I don't like the fact that I'm not seeing on the ground what the rhetoric is. And I've said that all along, and it's still a problem. It is still a major, major problem. Okay, we've been going for more than an hour. Let me buzz through here just real fast. And Thief of Hearts, Roy's about to cry. Absolutely. Because I know where this is going to go. I talked about Sarajevo. I talked about Yugoslavia a few minutes ago, the largest cemetery in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're headed. And the Weather Underground said that. Bill Ayers said that. The leftist Marxists said that. Hillary Clinton, what did she say? When I'm president, if I tell somebody to push the nuclear button, they'd better obey it. She wants destruction, ladies and gentlemen, and so do the leftist Marxists. They're evil. Yes, it makes me cry. It really does. Purple one. Roy, you look very handsome today. Why would I read that one? You ought to see me off camera. I'm horrible. I take everything off. I'm toothless and all that. By the way, that reminds me. I better say this, and then I'll shut down. I told you a long time ago. Remember when those of you who have been with me for a long time, when I was first considering getting on Twitter. I think that was right after President Trump was elected. So it's 2016, and I'm saying, I'm it may have been early 2017, but regardless, I said I'm thinking about getting on Twitter, but I want to use it just so I get information. That was my idea, because there are people there like Lee Stranahan I wanted to listen to, Anthony Schaefer, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. There were certain people I wanted to follow so that I could put things together and report to you how I synthesized it and put it all together, right? Well, unfortunately, like all social media, I got caught up in it way more than I wanted to. And I'm not putting anybody down. I don't mean to ignore anyone. I opened up my DMs so people could send me material, send me information, but I have to tell you, okay, I've had some really bad experiences when I've opened myself up to people that seemed to be friends and weren't, who seemed to be on the same page as I was and weren't. Now, I can handle disagreement. I can handle getting down and debating, but there's been some really nasty stuff there. So I told everybody some time ago that I was going back to Twitter as only a source of information. If you'll notice, I have, except for right now, when I accidentally actually that went to Discord. I'm not posting on Twitter on my main feed anymore. I'm just not, because I consider it a cesspool. I really do. I'm not saying everybody there is, but just the things that are going on, I don't want to be a part of it. There are certain people I want to get information from in a timely manner, and I'm going back to that. But I did open my DMs up, as I said, and I've gotten some people that have tried to get friendly. Look, I appreciate you sending me information, but I'm not going to click on links. I'm just not. Okay? And if you know anything about cybersecurity, you'll know why I won't do that. Okay? So if you have something to tell me where to go to find it. Don't give me a link. I'm not going to click on it. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is there's some people that have wanted to get very friendly on there, and I appreciate that. Lord knows I love friends, but I don't really know you. I put myself out here every day. You wouldn't believe some of the things that have happened because of this. Okay, and I'm not going to get into a lot of information about it, but the IC is alive and well, and InfraGard is alive and well, and deceivers are alive and well. Again, I don't mean to call anybody that. I'm just telling you that my experience by opening myself up, and I thought it was like last year, when I opened myself up to Tracy Beans. I don't have anything against Tracy Beans, but because I went against Q, she didn't like that. She hasn't treated me nastily, but I ended up having to block everybody involved in that because I didn't want to be looked at as having any part of it. And now, as you see what's happening with Corsi, etc., and how they're going to, I believe they might start, they're not going to go after all the Q people that have been the PSYOP, as I called it earlier in the broadcast, because they're actually working for Hillary Clinton. But just like the FBI always does, they will imprison some of their informants. Okay, they will double-cross them. And some of those people there in Patriot Soapbox, and I've warned about this for a long time, a lot of those people are being watched. And I think Uni Rock also said that they were investigating it. It's a place to identify Trump supporters that may have that they want to take out. Number one, number two, they'll burn their own assets in order to make it look really bad for Trump. So all you people that are in that, be wary. I'd suggest that you do at least what I've done. That is, say you want no part of it. I won't say any more. Okay, I think we're done. I don't want to take any more time. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody because I've been so verbose. Jana Williams. Yeah, McSally did snub Trump. Yeah, it's one of the things that she did. And that's another thing my Republican insider said. He said, anybody who has not backed Trump 100% has lost an election or has had a difficult time. So that's another thing. That's this moderation thing, okay? And McSally wanted to appeal to the moderates. She was trying to hedge her bets. And that's cowardice, okay? Plain and simple, that's cowardice. I wouldn't want her in my well. First of all, I would never have a woman in a foxhole. I just wouldn't allow it to happen. But she is the last one I would want in there. Okay, from what I've seen of her now, she might have all the decorations and all that. Fine, but her recent performance shows me I can't trust her. J.K. Coffee sip time, Roy. More sip or sipping. I'm doing it. Okay. I think we're done. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody today. Oh, W&B, I was at Camp Butler in Japan. Okay, all right. Japan's kind of a cool place in a lot of ways. I wouldn't want to live there. Obviously, I'd get island fever. Even Hawaii, I couldn't live there for any length of time. I'd go nuts. Why are you in Japan, Roy? I was there for the military. It explains it in the video. I was at Yokota Air Base with U.S. Forces Japan. Okay. I think we're done. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Get loud. Okay? Be heard. Like I said when I first went into college and I wanted to be a medical doctor, diagnosis is the first step. Actually, the patient has to realize there's something wrong with them, or the doctor finds it, and then the diagnosis happens. And you have to know what the disease is before you can treat it. Well, the second step, of course, is the patient has to want to get better. I see signs that the United States doesn't want to get better. As Goldwater talked about, moderation, the defense of liberty is not a virtue. Or you can say the opposite to that. But the point is, we're in a lot of trouble, and there are too many people that are sitting on the sidelines and not doing anything about it, which is one reason why we lost the House. And we could blame the PSYOP for that, which is partly responsible. But it's also because of the fact that people they don't understand the awful situation that we're in. So I don't want to be negative, but by the same token, I don't want to sugarcoat it either. And like being in medical school and wanting to help people, my problem was I got in a washout class. It was called biochemistry. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, okay? It's just not. I got to work hard at music, at study, whatever. It doesn't just come easy. I have to work hard at it. And in biochemistry, the rote memorization, which the professor wanted, rote memorization of carbon chain molecules was just not my cup of tea. I can't work like that. I have to be able to tie other things together. But at any rate, so I lost out on being a medical doctor, and I got into law and some other things at that point, which is kind of an oxymoron in some respects. But the point is that then I wanted to try to do something in some other way to heal those who are sick. And so I did. I went in the military. I went into ROTC, became an officer in the military. Idealistic, young, 20-something, thinking I could make a difference. And unfortunately, the patient doesn't want to get well. See the tie-in? The country really, in actuality, doesn't want to get well. We've been infiltrated by the disease too much, and we've given up. So that's how it all ties together. Very sad. I don't know that we'll turn it around. But we have to try. We have to try. We have to make our case, and we have to stand firm in opposition to the evil. And it is evil, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just a political difference. It's not an ideological difference. It is evil versus, it is slavery versus liberty. It's exactly what it's about. No less than liberty. Forget which side your right is. Well, anyway, it's liberty versus slavery. So keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, keep your situational awareness on high, prep, pray, stay out of the way. Things can get ugly, Rooster Cogburn. You don't want it to go there, but I'm not saying it won't. I don't want it to go there. I don't. It's scary. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And God bless Donald Trump and all of his righteous endeavors. May the Spirit of the Lord descend upon him and give him the spirit of discernment that he may know the right from the wrong and have the courage to do the right thing. And he better start doing it sooner than later. Until next time.